1. Work at a casual to fine dining place. Usually bar and cocktail side, which is pretty spacious but mostly high tops, and brings a more personal atmosphere. Hockey tournaments in town, and though there are many places better accommodating and more geared towards family in close proximity, we're closest to the hotel and highway. So we have a pretty good gourmet brunch. Get to work for an open and, oh good, a hockey group with about 14 adults and 10 of their little hockey brats are walking in as soon as the hostess unlocks the door at 9:59. But they need bar side, as the dining room has been fully reserved as it usually is. Not ideal, but let's get the parents and monsters in and out. So immediately they start moving tables and putting different level tables together, and do the whole parents brunch together and throw the kids at the other end to do what they please. Now, if they were good, smart hockey parents, few are, they would go over with the kid what they're having and have it somewhat organized in their end, allergies, what they can drink, etc. Nope, they do the stupid jersey number bullshit. If you don't know, the jersey number bullshit system can work, sure, but never does. See, if they are smart and organized and their little brats are actually wearing the jerseys and numbers at least decently visible, then no problem. Then it's simply, I'll be having the California Benedict, my kid is on my bill, number 17 over there. While these idiots weren't wearing their jerseys. It's cold, they were in regular street gear, and a few of them were wearing clothes like NHL jackets that had different numbers than their jerseys. So when I finally have to get every kid's separate order, I'm getting yelled at with numbers.
I'm 17, I'm the goalie.
I'm 21, I play this.
13, 67.
I don't care. I keep them organized enough to keep things streamlined and smooth. I'm not explaining to every one of them what comes with as far as the 7 breakfast and kid options, plus dozens of adult sizes and options, plus regular menu. Some of them ordered adult size, whatever, they are ordering burgers and full drinks, appetizers, you name it. You want Pepsi for breakfast or a third refill of chocolate milk with the adult burger? Sure, 12. Parents don't seem to care. So I kept the bills separate and organized in a regular, I know how to do my job kind of way, instead of the Sudoku jersey auction bullshit way. When payment comes, goes smoothly enough. Some parents still giving me, oh, I'm with jersey 9 shit. Thanks, I tell them, thinking, well, using the miracle of sight, I saw you and your hockey bitch wife talking to the kid in the red jacket with no number on it, and paired you up. I'm not going to ask every kid their jersey number, kids lie and are dumb. Plus, some kids are brothers and sisters who don't have numbers, and kids are dumb. A parent or two were a little surprised when they got bills that had adult-sized meals on there. We aren't a cheap place, and if their kids were ordering full chocolate milk with adult burgers, they were paying full steam, and that adds up. Paired with the parents' meals and a few drinks, and they're expecting $59 or so, but getting $90 bills. I wasn't about to go back and forth asking if each little prick could have a regular-sized meal. Hell, everyone was sat with different menus and they moved all the tables and settings around. So when I got the, "That's a lot. Didn't know number 21 ordered the full salmon dinner," I smile and say, yeah, sure has a healthy appetite. Really seemed to enjoy the herb reduction. Like most team family groups, the tips weren't great. Got them the hell out and got some flips of good couples. Small groups and the kind of clientele I want to serve. Floors were a mess. Crayons and emptied salt and pepper shakers, but they were gone. Oh, and special fuck you to the idiot parent who tells me his kid's jersey number is 8, but he's wearing a Sidney Crosby 87 jersey. Can't you see how that's confusing in the slightest? Team and hockey parents, can you keep your kids slightly organized and be somewhat smart? Maybe at least go over some menu guidelines with them and the server if you do care. No server ever gets excited to serve family sports groups. Most of us hate you. You did this. Ironic, given that if your kids acted this way in the organized tournaments you slacked for hours in a bus for, they'd be disqualified and you'd maybe assume some responsibility. Edit. Wow, didn't expect people apologizing on team parents' behalf. Appreciate the kind words, and hey, as mentioned, I am a server, what do I expect? I don't hate kids or parents, and on the other side of the coin, I would compliment families on good manners, and high fives are given for a proper please and thank you. 2. So I work in a fry shop in a busy club district in my city. Not a fast food chain or anything, just a shop that sells poutine and drinks. At the point of this story, I had been there about 7 or 8 months, and had gotten used to late-night crowds and belligerent drunkards. We are open past the local club's last call, so we really get slammed hard towards our close, when we are most tired and done with people's shit. This was about 2 a.m., middle of the rush, and all of us are moving as fast as we can while we take orders and make food. In walks someone I will call Snapchat Bitch. Now, Snapchat Bitch orders her food normally, asks for nothing extra, just plain old fries, cheese, and gravy. I am the one making the orders currently, so I get to see exactly what the customer did or did not order. Now I make her food, call her order, and she accepts it. 5 minutes later, up to my elbows in cheese, I hear this whiny voice.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am?
My cheese curds aren't melted.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. With our poutine, you get real cheese curds which don't melt under gravy. This is a fairly common question we get, and usually the response is a small look of surprise, a double take at their food, and they walk off satisfied.
Poutine is supposed to be melted cheese. I lived in
major city in French Canadian province
for like 2 years. I know my poutine.
Oh, what a coincidence. So do our cheese curds. Good to know they're authentic.
But mine were always melted when I get poutine.
Unfortunately, ma'am, that doesn't happen with cheese curds, as I've said before.
Well, can you at least put some extra gravy on this shitty poutine so my cheese will melt?
In all fairness, we are allowed to dish out extra gravy at our discretion. And for myself, it usually comes down to how polite the customer in question was, and how we're doing in regards to making sure not to run out of gravy at a crucial time. At this point, she was both getting on my nerves, and it was late enough that I wasn't sure we would last the night. Sorry, ma'am, I can only give you extra gravy if you pay for it.
But I totally did pay for it, and my poutine is so sad and dry.
At this point, I both double-check her order and confirm with the cashier what her order was, and surprise, surprise, no extra gravy. Sorry, ma'am, you did not in fact order or pay for extra gravy when you were at the cash register. And if you'd like some, you'll have to wait in line like everyone else.
This is total bullshit. Your food is dry and awful, and I'm making a snap about this. You guys are going to lose your customers because you won't give me just a little extra gravy.
At this point, I'm done with her shit and wanted to go home already. Okay, ma'am, have a night-night with that. And with that, I turn back to my station to keep making orders. Snapchat Bitch goes over to her friends and starts complaining about her food and the customer service, and how she's never coming back here, yada yada yada. All the while eating her food and finished without pause. She leaves the store and we're still swamped, so I push it to the back of my head for the end of Shift Bitch Fest, you know the ones. Cut to about 3:10 a.m, and we're almost on service. We can taste the approaching freedom. In walks Snapchat Bitch, in tears. Hello again.
Have you guys seen a phone? I lost my phone earlier and I can't find it. It's an iPhone X in a pink case.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am. We haven't had any phones brought up front to us tonight.
I know I was rude to you guys earlier, but could you at least look?
Checks under out till, where we keep lost items. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't have anything here matching that description.
Oh, okay then.
Snapchat Bitch exits stage left, and the store is again devoid of customers. Me and a coworker exchange a glance. It's stuff like that that makes this job tolerable. 3. So I just started working at an arena. For my job, I am basically the new Millennium Hot Dog Man. Where the filthy rich seats, I am there with a tablet taking orders, and then we send food and drink right to their seats. Just one big obstacle. The seats are normally spaced, so if someone is in the middle of the row taking their order is a bit of a challenge. Things have to be passed back and forth, and it's a little awkward, but I do what I have to do. I'm new, it's my second week or so of training, so they are finally getting around to the evaluation that says whether or not I get to keep working there. I get waved over by a guest, I get as close as I can and ask what they want. I don't hear them the first time, so I ask for a repeat. 2 vodka soda. I call it back to confirm, 2 vodka soda? They indicate yes. So I ring up 2 Belvedere vodka and soda and tell them how much it is. The card gets passed back and forth, the receipts and the pen get passed back and forth, the whole process. Soon their drinks come out, but they aren't happy with them. They ask me if it's Tito's vodka. I say no and let them know I'd have to look up the order to remember what vodka I had picked out. Then they ask if it's a double. I say no. They said they wanted Tito's doubles and sodas. I tell them okay, let me go talk to my manager and I will see what we can do for you. I tell my supervisor what is going on and she says if I get the drinks back I can get them the Tito's. I tell my guests this and they say that they want doubles. I confirm that they want Tito's and soda doubles and go back to my supervisor. We get the Tito's doubles and soda put together, and she tells me I need to charge them for the doubles and we will refund them the Belvedere. So out I go. I hand them their drinks, passed along of course, and I communicate that I need to charge them for the Tito's but will refund them the other drinks. They balk. They complain I'm making things complicated. They ask to speak to my manager. Yay. So I go back and explain this to the soup. Tell them that I haven't rung them up yet, and that they weren't happy and said things were too complicated. Everything Soup needed to know. She goes out there and talks to them, and talks to them, and talks to them. Did I mention this is evaluation day for me? So she is finally done with the conversation. She is climbing the steps back up to me, and I am just about to ask Soup what's going on with the guests, when an elderly grey-haired man with handlebar mustachios that was sitting right behind my guests, and was one of the ones passing drinks in cars and whatnot back and forth, comes up on his way to the bathroom, I guess, and says to my supervisor and I, "They ordered vodka sodas, that is all they said." He, me, did everything right. I don't want to get involved, but I just wanted you to know. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Thank you very much for that feedback, sir. I really appreciate it." Soup starts patting me on my shoulders during this exchange, and that is how a grey-haired angel with handlebar mustachios, seriously how cool is that, saved me from possible unemployment. Soup was telling me later that I ought to be really grateful to that guy, which I replied, "Oh, he's my god right now." Oh, and my guests, they got their double Tito's and soda for the price of a single Belvedere. $29 instead of $60, the cheap cunts. So good for them, I guess. 4. New Year's Eve 2013. You can find me behind a very busy bar in my city, tentatively shaking up a margarita. I was fairly new at this bartending biz, but I worked hard and fast. I was excited for New Year's as I was promised a good station to work from, which meant better tips. There were 8 stations. The quickest and or longest serving bartenders got the better serving stations near the front of the club at the entrance. These attracted a lot of customers and hence higher tips. The newer girls got the quieter station at the back of the club or upstairs, and mainly served waitresses who rarely shared their tips with you at the end of the night. A new girl started after me, and I was infuriated to learn that she was a friend of the boss. She was assigned to the second best serving station of the night, bumping me down to the waitress section. She had only done a few shifts, but had no idea about bartending. While I studied cocktail manuals and helped clean up after my shift, she was more interested in trying to sneak alcohol. But this story isn't about her. I was positioned in a terrible station on the busiest night of the year, and I only found this out once I signed in. I was mentally expecting $300 plus tips from an okay station, but now I was at the waitress station and would maybe get $50. I clocked in at 7:30, and I was kinda down as I had earmarked that cash towards a second-hand car I wanted to buy. But hey, shook myself out of it and went to prep my station and get into a happy New Year's Eve buzz. 7:35, as I'm prepping my station, an older guy pulls up a bar stool to my section, which is right at the back of the club, out of the way of the other main bar, and starts chatting. He's kinda half closing his eyes and seems a bit upset, so I chat to him about this and that as I set up. Just day-to-day easy chit-chat. 8. We have been chit-chatting a while and he is still half in and out of drunkenness. I get him a water and he is upset and crying and asking my name. He is talking more and spewing out personal family and life issues. Poor guy is just blurting it all out. I have no one to serve and I'm happy to chat, to just listen. To offer him soda and cordial, he's way too wasted to serve. He asks me my name again and again. Tells me he will never forget me. Around 8:10 p.m., I was keeping an eye on the time as I was worried about his intoxication levels. He throws down $300 bills into my ice bin and just lays his head down on the bar and says, "I love you, Astra 00. I will never forget you." Continues to repeat this until he is escorted out by security to his driver, waiting patiently outside a few minutes later. It was that kind of bar. So I made the $300 tips I wanted in less than an hour. But instead of feeling happy, I felt so shit for that poor guy, who felt he had to pay me for his time talking to me, or felt he had to throw money at something or someone to feel valued or worthwhile, or that he clearly had that much cash in his life and was that unhappy and he had no one else to talk to. He'd come to a club to cry on a bar top to a stranger. Still have the coaster he wrote on, "Dear Astrid 00, I will never forget." Of course it's highly illegible, but I can kinda decode the wonderful drunk scribbles. 5. A couple of years ago I worked at a bowling alley. It had a full kitchen and bar, and I found myself both serving and bartending one night, as we were super slow. We went down to Skeleton Crew and I was just wringing my hands until the clock struck 12 a.m, so we could go home. My bar, the entrance to the building, the kitchen, and the only lane in use, are all at the far end of the bowling alley near lane 1. About an hour after going down to closers, so just me, I hear a little girl whining in the arcade. This is several feet away, probably near lane 20. The only group that's in the building is at lane 1, and they didn't bring any children with them. I suppose I should have been more attentive, but I didn't see that there was actually a family bowling at lane 40. They were way across the building, and out of my line of sight due to our cargo container turned front desk. I walked over to the arcade and found the little girl whining and hitting our giant claw machine. The stuffed animals in the thing were about twice the size of this, presumably 6-year-old girl, and the game was super expensive to play, like $3 a go, I think. She was with her grandpa, and he was just funneling coins into the machine in a vain attempt to let her win an animal. He looked very sad. The little girl was oblivious, but I knew something was wrong. I greeted him, and he apologized for her yelling, but didn't do anything to quiet her. I told him it was no problem, I'm just checking on them, and please let me know if I can do anything for them. I glanced over at lane 40 and noticed that the lights are on. A game has started, but nobody is playing. Everybody is just sitting, and some are cuddled up together. A young woman sat at a high top behind the lane, playing on her phone. Ignoring the feeling that I was interrupting something pretty gloomy, I approached the young woman and gave the same greet, "Please let me know if I can do something for you," blah blah blah. She asked me if I could put up the bumpers for their lane. She said the little girl in the arcade was not able to hit a single pin, and she was really upset. She said that she really needed the girl to have a good time, and she wanted to make a good memory for her. But she was getting so upset because she couldn't carry the bowling balls or push them down the lane hard enough to knock anything over. I don't remember how the exact conversation happened, but my spidey sense was blaring. I pried a bit, and the woman told me that they had just found out that the little girl was very, very sick. The entire family was there, the grandparents flown in from out of town, and they were all devastated. The little girl was fussy because she wasn't feeling good, was too weak to play, and then was also no good at the claw machine. The family really needed a good night together before the little girl started treatment for her illness, and so far they weren't getting it. I told the woman that I'll be right back. My manager and I came up with a plan. We put the bumpers up on their lane, brought down a slide, which is basically a ramp for 3 or 4-year-old little kids to roll bowling balls down, and we didn't know the family was there to have offered it to them before, and created a challenge for the girl. My manager told her, I'll tell you what, young lady. I am absolutely awful at bowling too, and you can't tell anybody. What I do is practice with this little slide here, and it really helps. I think if you can knock down one pin with my slide, then I'll have a big surprise for you. The family watched us, eyes wide, but didn't say anything. Surprise, surprise, the girl knocked over one single pin. My manager let me unlock the door to the claw machine. I snuck the girl inside and told her she could come out with one new friend. She beamed at us before hopping into the mound of giant plushies. When she came out of the machine, I noticed the bags under her eyes. She was quiet then. She was tired. It was late. The woman I'd spoken to earlier, as well as the grandpa, came over to me and just cried and cried. Another woman swept the girl up and cradled her. I told the family that I knew that my manager would want to give them a great experience just as much as I did. That family was really happy for a little bit. I don't know what happened with the little girl, but I hope we gave her a happy story to tell her friends in the hospital. I hope we gave her a friend to hold on to at night when she wasn't feeling so good. I hope that family has a pleasant memory to tell. Corporate would have fired our asses had they found out. Touching story or not. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates 17. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. About the last story there, I recorded that a couple of weeks back. It was meant to be for that week's video. Was it a couple of weeks? Maybe it was more. I think it was a couple of weeks. And I was in tears by the end of it. So I found myself, after recording it, not sure what to do. So I thought, well, I'll pull it out of that video and I'll leave it for now, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it. I wasn't sure if it would be quite appropriate. But you guys do seem to have enjoyed the other kind of heartwarming stories I've slipped into some of the other videos. So I decided that, well, maybe this week's video would be a good home for it. Hope you all enjoyed it. Though it does bum me out a little that we really have no way of knowing how that story shook out. I choose to believe the best. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.